Hello everybody, welcome back. We are the Garcia sisters. We are the authors of the Night Owl Chronicles and welcome back.
I'm Alison,
Samantha.
and we're doing our weekly reading of The Door, our first book published in the series. And yeah, Sam, do you want to do a recap of?
Yeah, so basically from chapter 5, we learned that when Emma slipped over Josh's house, he finally got to see something behind the peephole. Even though he called the cops and they didn't find anything, Josh is convinced that there is something wrong waiting for him outside. But everything
forget what he saw.
Exactly.
The eye.
Everything points to there's nothing wrong because the porch light was working, the police don't find anything, and according to Emma, Josh never closed the bedroom door as well. So
yes, there's a lot of things. Even as we're quickly recapping, it's almost as if, when Josh hears the knocking at the door, when he sees an eye staring back at him from the other side, something rushing past the front porch, thinking he's closed the door when it's not. Everyone's always thinking now, which even we're hoping everyone is thinking is this all in his mind?
exactly, or was it a prankster as well?
Yes, so as Officer Walker, he was investigating this who came, they found nothing. So we're going to jump straight into it to see what happens after this now. And it's chapter 6 that's titled, I Am Your Friend and Enemy.
Oh, wonder who's talking about that. I'm going to read then this section.
Yep.
Okay.
You can start, Sam.
I'm your friend and enemy. It was 7 a.m. The night had gone too fast. It was a blink and you'll miss kind of night. So much had happened. Many unexplained events had occurred. The mysterious knocking, the door handle jiggling, someone sitting on the porch, something running past the front door, my bedroom door opening on its own, and the evil eye staring back at me. So much had happened in such little time. I still had no answers as to why they had even occurred in the first place. My vision was blurry, and I was still half asleep. I could faintly hear birds chirping outside. At least I had gotten a good night's rest. I blinked several times and rubbed my eyes. Did I really have to get up? I looked at the bedroom window. The grey sky greeted me with dark clouds, filling me with dread. Yes, it was going to be another cold day. Dreadful morning.
I inhaled deeply, allowing my stomach and chest to expand. I immediately recalled last night's episode. It played over and over in my mind like a horror movie on a loop. I felt conflicted with everything, and a million questions ran through my mind. There had to be a logical explanation for what had happened the previous night. My alarm clock beeped. I quickly leaned over to switch it off. Emma rolled over to me, placing her hand on my chest. I had a feeling that we were going to struggle to keep our eyes open today. Her skin felt warm against my body. I moved her hair away from the side of my face because it tickled my cheeks. As I looked down, I caught a glimpse of her perfect morning face. What time is it? Emma asked, with half-closed eyes. It's time to get up, I replied. Already? She cried. Yep. I don't want to. I'm just too tired, Emma complained. We both stayed in bed for a few more minutes and savoured the moment of being together in silence. For that short moment, it felt like we didn't have a care in the world, that nothing could bother or harm us. My cell phone buzzed hard. It was a message from my mum. She said that she was not going to call today because my uncle's condition hadn't changed, and she didn't want to burden me with any more bad news. I just replied with a short message. Thanks for letting me know. I wish him a speedy recovery. Take care of yourselves. Are you all right? Did you get any sleep? Emma asked, finally looking up at me.
Yeah, I got some sleep, I think. What a crap night though. We didn't say much else, but it was a school day and we had to get up. It was time to face the world. Come on, I'll make us some breakfast, I said. I crawled out of bed while Emma struggled behind me. She sat up and did a big cat-like stretch while yawning at the same time. Even though her hair was messy, she looked great. We both dragged our feet as we made our way downstairs toward the kitchen. I filled the kettle with water while Emma opened the fridge to get out milk. She then went to get other items from the pantry. I was still thinking about what had happened the night before. It wouldn't leave my mind. I knew I was being much quieter than usual. Then again, after the event of last night, who could blame me? You're too quiet. Are you okay? Emma asked, taking the first bite of her toast. Oh shit, she could see how shut down I've already become. And it was only the start of the day. I placed 2 coffee mugs on the table and thought about my response. What words could I use? I didn't want Emma to think I was crazy. I'm all right, I guess. I'm still not sure what I saw last night. I keep going over it in my mind, but I don't know what to think. I know what you want. Answers, Emma said. I want them too. It'll put an end to all of this madness. Madness? Is that what she thought? Does Emma think I'm going mad? It's just so odd. Why would a stranger want to prank me in the middle of the night? It doesn't make any sense, I said, looking down to my breakfast.
Emma didn't say anything. Everything about last night had been strange and scary. I can't stop thinking about... I stopped mid-sentence. About what? Emma asked. There was someone out there looking at me, looking straight through me, as if they knew I was there. The eye was so hideous and gross, I said, refusing to lift my head up. I couldn't believe that I was telling my girlfriend all of this. She probably thought I was going mad. The police didn't find anything. They circled the street and didn't find anyone, Emma said, trying her best to reassure me, but it wasn't helping. I don't care what the police said. I know what I saw, I protested. You keep saying that as if I don't believe you, Emma replied. I just don't want you to think that I imagined any of it, I snapped back. I never said you did, she declared. We didn't say anything to each other for a few seconds, and all I could hear was Emma sipping her coffee. Why don't you take the day off? Don't go to school today, Emma suggested. You could use more rest. I'm sorry, I said. For what? I didn't mean to snap at you. It's fine. You're obviously upset, she said. I don't want to stay here. I'd much rather go to school and be around people, I said. And that was my entire truth. I didn't want to be alone today, especially in this house. You should talk to your doctor, she said. What's her name again?
Ellen, I said. Maybe Ellen can help with your anxiety, Emma said. Maybe. I should see her. I just want to get out of here and go to school, I said, leaving the kitchen to get ready. Now we're cutting to a new scene where they're off to school now, Emma and Josh. I locked the front door as Emma waited for me on the porch. It was a cold day and my hands were freezing, especially my knuckles. I tested the icy door handle several times to double check that it was locked. I stopped momentarily and stared at the front door. I moved my frozen hands over the door, inspecting it inch by inch, looking for any damage or clue. There was no damage to the door, not even a scratch, nothing. Well, at least the pranksters hadn't vandalized the house. Josh, Emma called out, frosty air foaming from her breath. Is everything all right? Yeah, just checking the door, I replied. I needed to chill out for a moment. Maybe my mind was playing tricks on me. I opened the picket fence gate. Emma walked out first, and we started our short walk to school. To my surprise, an unexpected surprise, Amanda was at the end of the street. She was standing in the same spot as before. staring at me again. Why did she do that? I could feel my blood beginning to boil as I blankly stared back at her. I had a sudden thought that Amanda had been the one pranking me the previous night. In fact, ever since she'd arrived at school, strange things had happened to me. I started to walk fast toward her. I was not going to let her get away with this.
Josh, wait up, Emma said, trying to catch up to me. Come on, I insisted, not stopping. I could tell Emma was worried because she frowned hard and pressed her lips together. Josh, what's wrong? She asked, but I ignored her. I focused my attention on Amanda. I had to speak to her. As I approached her, I noticed her dark makeup smeared across her eyes, her clothes too dark for my liking. Hey, I called out to her. Were you at my house last night? I asked in a deeper voice. Amanda looked straight into my eyes. Her eyes were so striking, like emerald green stones. She never once blinked, never once flinched or backed away from my angry presence. Josh, what are you doing? Stop it, Emma protested. I ignored her again and pressed on with Amanda. Well, were you? Answer me, I declared. No, I wasn't at your house last night, Amanda replied with a smirk. She turned around and walked away. Stay away from me, I yelled. Josh, what the hell is wrong with you? Emma asked, holding me back. I don't trust her, I said. You don't even know her. I bet it was her at my house last night. But you don't know that. Why would she want to prank you? That's why I'm asking her, I cried out. You're strangers to each other. There's no motive.
But, Josh cried, listen to yourself. What you're saying is ridiculous. You need to calm down. Do you need your pills? Emma asked. I didn't say anything. I could only watch Amanda walk away. She walked so confidently, as if she owned the neighborhood. She walked down the street so meanly, as if she had a grudge against everyone. Amanda turned around and looked at me. She turned back and continued to walk like a boss. I cupped my face with my hands and tried to relax, but my anger got the better of me. I couldn't help myself. I had to say something. I've been through enough shit. I didn't need any added crap from Amanda. Come on, Josh. Keep it together. Do it for Emma. I lowered my hands and exhaled. I felt exhausted. I'm fine. I'm sorry. Are you sure? Emma asked. Yeah, let's just go to school. We arrived at school, but I couldn't help but feel annoyed. I met up with Chris and Ken in the hallway. Their smiles quickly turned to concern as they immediately noticed my annoyance. Hey Josh, are you alright? Ken asked. I was tired of people asking me the same question. No, I'm not alright, I thought. But I answered though. Yeah, I'm fine. I didn't get much sleep last night, I replied, lying through my teeth. Why? Chris asked.
I hesitated to tell them the truth. I didn't know whether to say anything, and I wasn't sure if I had the energy to do so anyway. I was mentally exhausted, but I gathered enough strength to say something. Someone pranked me last night. The person rang the doorbell and then banged on the front door. Holy moly, Chris said. Then what happened? Well, the police came around, but they found nothing, I whispered, not wanting my other classmates to hear. That's twisted. Why would someone prank you in the middle of the night? Ken asked. Shh, keep your voice down, I said. I don't know why the prankster chose me. Don't worry about it. I'm sure it was just a bunch of kids who were bored during the night, Ken said, trying his best to reassure me. I remained quiet as the evil eye from the peephole came back into my mind. A cold shiver suddenly erupted down my spine. Do you want me to hook you up? Chris asked. What do you mean by that? I asked back. I can install a camera on your porch ceiling, and it's all live. You can see on your phone who comes to your door any time during the day, Chris explained. Hey, that's a fantastic idea, I thought. Let's do it. Great, he said. I need to go home first and grab some equipment. I can meet you back at your place, Chris suggested. It's a plan. I'll see you after school, I replied. And then I thought, why didn't I think of that before? Hopefully, I'd be able to capture the culprit. The school bell sounded, and Chris flipped his skateboard down before any teacher could see him.
They had banned him from riding his skateboard inside, but he never listened. Bring some money, Chris called out. I won't forget, I said, grabbing my English textbook. I overheard a teacher calling out to Chris because of his skateboard. It didn't matter how many times they told him off, Chris always insisted on riding it whenever he pleased. First period of English, my favourite subject. As everyone settled in, I immediately noticed Amanda's seat. It was empty. Thank heavens, I thought. Yet, I stared to wonder for a second if I had been too harsh on her. Emma was right about one thing. I had no proof that Amanda was the one pranking me. I stared at her empty seat. Where could she be? I wished I knew where she hung out, so I could speak to her. I didn't even know who her friends were, if she had any. Still, it wouldn't hurt talking to her, to clear the air. I made a mental note to search for her after school. School was finally over. It had been a long day, and I felt drained. I looked around the hallway and peered into several classrooms during the day to see if I could find Amanda. I crossed over to the football field, towards the bleachers, only to find the football team and cheerleaders doing their regular training. I checked the bus stop, but she wasn't there either.
I decided to walk through the park, and in the far distance, I spotted her sitting on a bench under a tree. But I stopped for a moment, thinking about what I was going to say. Would she even speak to me after the way I had treated her this morning? She'll probably tell me where to go, I thought. I started toward her, her thin, narrow back facing me, her long, dark hair flowing through the light, icy breeze, before I could stop myself and question why I was even doing this. She startled me with her husky voice. "What do you want?" Amanda demanded, slowly turning around. A long, thin cigarette was balanced between her lips as she narrowed her eyes. I was stunned. How had she known I was even behind her? I held back, not knowing what to say. She looked straight into my eyes while smoking her cigarette like a true Hollywood diva. "Are you just going to stand there, Josh? What do you want from me?" "I want to apologize for what happened this morning," I said, as Amanda rolled her eyes. She probably thought I was pathetic. "And I want to ask you something. I want to ask if you saw anyone at my house last night." "Like who?" she asked back. "Like pranksters?" "Nope," she replied with the same smirk. I hated that look on her face. It made my blood boil. "It's just that I've had strange things happening to me and..." I stopped mid-sentence. Before I could continue, Amanda stood up, flicked her cigarette butt away, grabbed a backpack, and walked away, leaving my words floating in the air.
"Pranksters. Whatever," she said. "What?" I was at a loss for words. "Whatever you do, don't let them in," Amanda said with a giggle. That was weird and rude. Well, her information didn't help me at all. Maybe it had been a bad idea talking to her. She was so odd, and of course, I would never open the door to strangers. My thoughts went to Chris. I had to go home and meet him at my house. I hurried home, almost tripping over my own feet. I couldn't wait to install the camera. As I approached my house, Chris was already unpacking a small box and scratching his head at the same time. "Hey, Chris," I said. "Hey," he replied. "Sorry I'm late. Got held up," I said. "That's fine. Give me a boost," he said. I bent down and lifted Chris up as much as I could. He attached a small camera that looked like a shiny black ball in the corner of the porch ceiling with 4 small screws. You need to download the Watch You app. Once you've downloaded, enter your phone number so that the camera can sync with your cell phone. Can it record? Josh asked. It sure can. It can record, rewind, fast forward, send as a file, everything, Chris said with a satisfied smile. That's it? I asked. Chris said, that's it.
Too easy. Thanks, man. What do I owe you? Well, the camera is worth $150, but for you, my friend, it's only $80, Chris said with a smile. Deal. Can I pay you tomorrow? I completely forgot to take money out. Yeah, that's fine, he said. Thanks for your help. Do you want to come in? Can't. My mum needs me as usual, he replied. I'll see you tomorrow then? Sure thing. Let me know if the camera records anything, Chris said as he rode his skateboard away. I quickly grabbed my phone and downloaded the app. After a few minutes, the surveillance camera synced with my phone. I was surprised by the picture quality as I watched myself on the phone. If the pranksters decided to come back, I'd be ready and I'd catch them. I wanted to see, though, Dr. Ellen Young and explain to her everything that had happened. I felt the need to talk to someone, to let it all out. Too many things were running through my mind, and I needed to know her thoughts about them. I started the car and drove to her office, and as I approached the reception area, Angela, the new receptionist, was on the phone making an appointment with a patient. That's fine, we'll see you next week. Take care, Mrs. Langley, Angela said, putting down her phone. She looked up at me. Hello, can I help you? She asked.
I need to see Ellen, I said. Do you have an appointment? Angela asked. No, but I really need to see her. I'm sorry, but if you don't have an appointment, I can't help you. She's strictly by appointment only. She has a very tight schedule, Angela replied. My name is Josh Riley. I'm a patient of hers. I only need 10 minutes of her time, Josh begged. That's impossible, Angela continued, but suddenly Dr. Ellen Young came out of her office. Josh, Ellen said, surprised. Hi, I said. I'm surprised to see you here today, she said, with a strange look on her face. I'm so sorry, Ellen. He wants to see you now, but he doesn't have an appointment with you today, Angela explained. I wish he'd shut up, I thought. I know I don't have an appointment, but I just need 10 minutes of your time. There's something I really need to talk to you about. I wouldn't have come here if I wasn't desperate, Josh said. All right, come in and let's talk, she said, cupping my shoulders. I was relieved that she would see me. There was so much that I just wanted to get off my chest. I unzipped my jacket and sat down. So, Josh, what seems to be the emergency? She asked, taking a hold of her notepad and pen. This is going to sound a bit strange. You can tell me anything. What's troubling you? She pressed on, smiling at me.
Well, I'm not sleeping well. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night for no reason, I replied as my right foot tapped the floor. You have insomnia? She asked. Yeah. What else? I'm hearing things, I said, looking down. What kind of things are you hearing? Describe them to me, she said as she started to write down some notes. I'm hearing knocks at my front door. And when does this happen? It happens in the middle of the night. It's usually 3 knocks. When I look to see who's there, I stopped. Go on. You can tell me, she said. You're safe here, remember? Nobody's out there, I replied. Dr. Young didn't say anything. She looked at me, studying me. Are you completely alone when this happens? I mean, are you the only one in the house? She asked. No. Everyone else is sound asleep. I'm the only one who can hear it, I replied. Again, Dr. Young was studying me, looking at me all over. I bet she was also assessing my body language. Stop tapping your foot, Josh. Do you get anxious when you hear these knocks? She asked. Yes. I take the Valium to help me relax, and I'm running low on them. There was suddenly silence between us. She was writing a lot on her notepad, and I wondered for a second what she was writing and thinking about. What was she concluding about the knocks?
And this happened recently? She asked. Yeah, but something else happened last night. Someone was banging on the front door, and when I looked to see who it was, there was someone looking at me through the peephole. I said, The intruders? No, I saw an evil eye looking at me. It was gross. It was all pale and veiny. The cops came around, but they couldn't find anything. They thought I was a victim of some bored prankster. You called the police? She asked. Yes. And did they find anything? She asked. Nothing interesting, I replied as she wrote more. So what do you think? Am I going crazy? My friend installed a security camera today. This is what I believe. Your mind is playing tricks on you. Hallucinations aren't just visual. They can be hearing, smelling, tasting, and feeling things that are not there. Remember that hallucinations are false sensory perceptions. They are not real. I also believe that the root of all of this is caused by what happened to you. Think about it for a moment. Your mind is giving you a false perception that the intruders are knocking on your front door. You are creating a new fear that the attackers have found you. Your mind truly believes that someone wants to get inside. So what should I do? I asked. If you hear someone knocking again in the middle of the night, tell them to go away and say to yourself that you are bigger and stronger than your fears. Don't you think it's strange that someone will be knocking at your front door in the middle of the night?
Yeah, I guess you're right, I replied. Look, just block it out and state that you are stronger. I will give you another prescription. If you find your anxiety increases, come and see me. Just be sure to make an appointment next time, she said, jotting down her instructions before handing me the prescription. Okay, I will. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. When I leaned over to grab the paper, she pulled back into her chair. Is there something else going on that you want to discuss with me? She asked. My uncle. Your uncle, what about him? Well, he's been the victim of a hit and run. He's in the hospital fighting for his life, but the doctors don't think he'll survive. I'm very sorry, Josh. Do you want to talk about him? Honestly? No, I replied. Are you sure? I've got 20 minutes until my next appointment arrives. Next time, but thank you. I didn't want to talk about him now. I didn't want to deal with it. That's all right. We can discuss your uncle when you feel ready. But may I ask you a question, Josh? Ask away, I said. Do you know the difference between fear and danger? I'm not sure what you mean. Where is she going with this, I thought.
The mind creates fear. It doesn't actually exist. But danger does exist because the threat is in front of you. Don't let your mind get carried away with fear. Don't become a slave to your mind. Do you see where I'm going with this? I think so, I said. You will win this fight, Josh. Thanks for seeing me, I said, taking the prescription. I felt as though a huge weight was lifted off my chest. I couldn't help but feel more confident after speaking to her. I knew that I was going to be okay. I just needed more time and less pressure from myself. I drove back home after stopping by the drugstore. Big raindrops slapped the car and thunder roared like wild lions. Even though the day was dark, grey and cold, I felt somewhat optimistic about my immediate future. Even though Dr. Yum believed that the knocking and the evil eye were all in my head, I was glad that I had the camera installed, just in case pranksters decided to return. Maybe, though, I needed to be gentler with myself. Perhaps I had tried to heal myself quicker than I thought it would take. I shouldn't have jumped to conclusion that there was something evil and paranormal outside my door. I had almost scared myself to death.
And cutting to a new scene at night. I couldn't sleep. It was exactly 3:15 in the morning, and I was staring at the ceiling. Oh, I hate this, I thought. I had meant to take the pill earlier, but I had completely forgotten. I was so tired, but my mind was very much awake. I turned on my bathroom light, and it was just too bright. I had to squint my eyes. I opened the medicine cabinet, reached for my pills. I opened the small orange bottle, but it slipped out of my hands and fell to the floor. Damn it, I said, feeling groggy. I knelt down and retrieved one pill at a time. They had landed everywhere. Just before I swallowed one pill, I held back and remembered what Dr. Young had said. My mind was fabricating all of this fear. Was I still afraid? Is that why I couldn't sleep? I decided then and there to not take the pill. I didn't want to rely on them. I didn't want to be addicted, so I spat it out. I had to be strong and have the willpower to say no more. Yet, I was still so awake that I decided to watch a movie. I took my cell phone with me and headed downstairs. When I reached the bottom of the stairs, I stopped and stared at the front door. Instead of watching a movie, I was determined to face my fears. If it wasn't all in my head and the pranksters were real and had decided to return, I'd be able to see them on my phone. I opened the app and I could see the front door, the entire porch, and the hard rain coming down. I was feeling more in control now. And if it was all in my head, then I'd deal with myself by being firm and acknowledging that it was all just an illusion.
It was almost 4:30 a.m. and my eyes were feeling super heavy. Everything was so quiet and undisturbed. Since my mind had been playing tricks on me before, I concluded that there was no reason for me to be down here anymore. After all, there was no danger waiting for me on the other side. But all of a sudden, I heard 3 knocks that gave me an icy chill down my spine. I quickly stood up and slowly approached the door. The rain hit the windows hard. The wind made the house shudder. I heard another 3 knocks on the door, each one echoing toward me. I quickly unlocked my phone and opened the app. I was shocked to see no one was out there. It's all in your head, Josh. There's no one out there. Your mind is playing tricks on you, I softly whispered to myself. I decided to ignore the knocks and I forced myself to walk away. But when I took the first step toward the stairs, the 3 knocks turned into 3 loud thumps, making me almost jump out of my skin. I quickly turned around and noticed that someone was testing the door handle again. There's someone trying to get in. The rain was furious, and horrendous thunder was in the distance. Odd-shaped shadows were in every corner, and suddenly the windows were also thumping. I quickly dashed upstairs, grabbed my baseball bat, and called the police. 911, what's your emergency? Someone's trying to break into my house. Send the police over now. Please calm down, sir. What is your address? Number 4, Chronicle Street, Sudbury. Can you see the person who's trying to get in?
No, I can't, I replied. Can you see what the person's doing? She asked. They're banging on the door and forcing the door handle, I explained, exasperated. You need to calm down, she said. I need you to stay on the line. Stay away from all the windows and doors. Are they all locked? Yes, I replied. My throat felt hot and dry like a desert. Can you find a safe place to hide? She asked. Yes, I can. Please hurry, I cried out. I scurried back downstairs, holding onto my baseball bat with a tight grip. The thumping was all over the house. It was strong and aggressive against the door. The door handle, again, constantly moving. I hoped it wouldn't break off. I found some courage to move in closer and look through the peephole. I could see dark shadows moving across fast, but it was hard to see who they were. I honestly didn't know what I was looking at. I pulled back, rubbed my eyes to get a better look. I looked through the peephole again, and the only thing in my view was the hard rain and the darkness of the night. Then suddenly, the same evil eye from before appeared out of nowhere, looking straight at me. A high-pitched shriek nearly deafened my ears. This time, the eye looked different. It had more bloodshot veins and more hideous than before. It looked threatening. It looked demonic. This was not in my head. This was really something evil outside, and it wanted to get in. This was no illusion. I pulled back, tripping over my careless feet.
No! I cried out, stumbling backward, hitting my head. This is when now the police arrive. Hello, it's the police. Can you please open the door? I faintly heard the officer's voice. I opened my eyes and realized that I was lying on the floor in a starfish position. Why am I on the floor? Then I remember I had fallen backward. I had surely knocked myself out when I hit my head. Hello, anyone there? The officer continued. I slowly stood up. I could hear the doorbell. My head really hurt and I felt shaky all over. I listened as the police officers walked back and forth across the porch. Red and blue lights from their patrol cars flashed inside. How long was I out for? I cautiously looked through the peephole. It was the same police officers from the night before. I unlocked the door and pushed my head through. Hello again. Do you remember us? I'm Officer Walker and this is Officer Carter. We received a dispatch call about someone trying to break into your house. Can you explain to me what happened? Yeah, I remember you, I said. Did you make the call? Officer Walker asked. I did. Someone was trying to break into my house. They were banging on the door and windows. They even forced the door handle several times. They? So it was more than one person? The officer asked. Yes.
Did you get a good look at them? Can you give us a description? He asked. No, because when I looked through the peephole, there was no one out there, I replied. The police officers stopped and looked at each other and then back at me with a strange look. You didn't see anyone? Officer Walker asked. I know this sounds crazy, but someone was trying to get in. We'll take a look around and we'll see what we can find, he said. Thank you, I said, closing the door. I watched the officers through the study window as they walked around with their flashlights, inspecting every corner. I could tell Officer Walker was more in charge. He did all of the talking while Officer Carter was just too busy chewing gum and nodding. After a couple of minutes, they returned and knocked on the door. We couldn't find anything, Officer Walker said. I'm not surprised, I said too. I noticed you have a surveillance camera. May we take a look at your footage? He asked. Sure, I said, taking my phone out of my pocket. I opened the app and pressed play. They both watched the footage in front of me, and their bored faces said it all. There was nothing out of the ordinary. Well, there's no sign of any attempted forced entry. Are you sure someone was trying to get in? He asked. I know what happened. I saw an eye, I replied. The officers were not impressed with my response. I could tell by the way they kept looking at each other and then back at me. They probably thought I was crazy. An eye? Have you been drinking? He asked.
You don't believe me. I haven't made any of this up. I know what I saw, I said. All right, relax. There's nothing on your phone to indicate anything. And, I questioned, well, there's very little we can do with a video that shows nothing. We'll drive around the block and let you know if we find anything. Fine, but I bet you won't find anything, I said. They looked at me like some kind of weirdo. I know what I saw. My mind wasn't playing tricks on me. I think I should call your parents, the officer said. No, please, don't do that. Why not? I don't want to stress them out, I said. How's your uncle? He's not improving. Sorry to hear that, Officer Walker said. But if you make the same call again, I will call your parents. I was upset that I wouldn't be able to call the police again if I needed to. I didn't want them calling my parents, and I definitely didn't want to get into trouble with them. I tried so hard to convince myself that I had been the victim of a sinister joke, or that it was all in my head. But I was wrong. I was so wrong. Something was going on, something evil. What would happen to me if it did get in? Why was this thing so desperate to get in? And that is the end of chapter 6.
We always leave everyone with a cliffhanger.
I've noticed that actually. I've just noticed that.
You will get your answer.
You will get your answers.
Yes, so that's... Wow, obviously this... Josh is in my opinion, Josh is a very intense character because he's constantly thinking.
He overthinks, I reckon.
He
sometimes.
does. I find it a little bit annoying, but that's the character that we've created, and no one believes him now. You know, he was that close thinking that, yes, this is all in my head, Dr. Young is right, none of this is real, it's happened again, and he's opened up the app, nothing is showing.
Nothing's shown. Like
Something's going
there was
on.
no one at his porch knocking. So
Yeah.
what do you think is happening? Like,
Well, clearly something or someone, he, she, it, is desperate to
Or
get
they.
inside. Or they, is desperate to get inside. And why? Well, Josh doesn't know. And, well, now his options are limited. He can't call the police again.
now Amanda's acting suspicious too now.
Yeah, she's always staring at him. She's in the same spot. And personally, she's acting as if she knows about something. It's almost like she's teasing him.
Exactly. She did say to him, the last conversation, when she walked away, she said, whatever you do, don't let them in. So she
Yeah, why would
obviously
she say
knows.
that?
Why would she say that? So
Remember,
she knows
yeah.
something.
Remember, she's the new girl in town, the new girl at school. So, you know, Josh feels, even though he kind of regretted talking bad to her in the morning,
Yeah.
it just seems like there's too many coincidences happening.
Exactly. So
it's obviously, so next week we read chapter 6, which was called I Am Your Friend and Your Enemy, which is obviously referring to Amanda Wolf.
but
Yes.
next week, I know that we are still going to do chapter reading, but next week we are going to do Q&A. We have been receiving a lot of emails through our website asking a lot of questions, so we're going to, next week we will spend a whole hour doing some Q&A
Yep.
and get to know us
Yeah.
one-on-one.
And after that, probably a next episode where we will read chapter 7, which is called Replaced. So what's going to be replaced? Have a thought about that though. But thank you again for listening and watching us.
Exactly. So a big, huge thanks to 3CR Radio, to Nikki, our lovely producer.
She creates magic for us.
That's right. And we'll see you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you all.
Yep.
And we'll see you next time.
And remember, everyone, follow the owl.
Follow the owl.
Bye.